I was never the smartest kid in the classroom. I made the honor roll a few times in high school. I went to ASU. I get in a shit ton of trouble. I get kicked out of the business school. Freshman year, macroeconomics professor called me to the front of the class at the end of class, and he said, "You will never make money in business because you don't even understand the fundamentals of the macroeconomics of the United States of America." I remember thinking like, well, I'm gonna go become a millionaire anyway.
Alex Morton made his first million, I believe, at 24 years old. He's done over 30 million in sales by the age of 30. 2-time best-selling author, momentum catalyst, the Tony Robbins of this millennium.
Gary Vee taught me that if you want to get wealthy, you got to go where people's attention is going to be in 5 years. Wave the flag and then get everybody over there. As an entrepreneur, I can make $1 billion or I can make zero. But I'd rather do that than you pay me $47,000 a year. And if I have an opinion that you don't agree with, you can just fire me the next day. I got God and then everybody else. It's like if God would do it for you, God's going to do it for me too.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Legacy in Billions. And today I am privileged and honored to have a very special guest, very unique guy. Honestly, he doesn't need much of an introduction, but of those of you that may not know him because you live under a rock, his name is Alex Morton. He made his first million, I believe, at 24 years old. He's done over 30 million in sales by the age of 30, 2-time best-selling author, momentum catalyst, the Tony Robbins of this millennium era, and honestly, somebody who I admire and respect, and I'm freaking thrilled and excited to introduce. So Alex Morton, man, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me, and excited to be here to give some value to your audience and hopefully shake some things up out there for people.
Yes, sir, bro. I had to do it, and I was like, man, if Alex Morton is coming, we have to do a little bit of the...
Hey, yeah.
But since your back is tweaked, I'm like, bro, we can't get up and
I
do it.
I know, but that's it. When it drops, man, we get rocking and rolling on that song every time.
You have no idea, bro. I was driving here and I was like, I thought about Alex Morton. I'm like, what song can I play to get me hyped? I put Lions in the Wild. I started getting the goosebumps. So I'm like, bro, we're about to freaking go in, man.
Dude, that song gets people going, man, every time.
Yes, sir, man. Well, thank you so much for being here. And I really want to spend the time that we have very intentionally and wisely because I want to be respectful of your time. And at the same time, I know you have so much to give and you give away so much free content, so much free value online. And I want to go into the deeper stuff. But it's okay if we go deep today?
You can ask me whatever you want, man. We're here to help people, so let's roll.
Let's freaking rock. So in a quick, brief summary, tell the audience a little bit about how you got here.
Well, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, small town, middle-class America. And I grew up seeing both my parents work very, very hard. They had a life insurance agency. And we didn't have like everything growing up, but we also we had nothing growing up. Like we were right in the middle, but we got to take a couple family vacations every single year. But as a kid, I always knew like I was a little bit different. I would be in school and I would not want to pay attention to the mathematics and the science of the teachers, whatever they were, teaching. I was always interested in like, there's got to be more than this. Like I'm sitting in this classroom, the bell goes off, I go to the next classroom, like everybody's walking around like, sheep or like a cog in a machine. I'm like, dude, there's got to be something else. Because growing up, I would watch like MTV and see music videos of Bentleys and mansions and parties and a lavish lifestyle. So at a young age, I kind of made the decision mentally that I'm going to do this whole school thing. But when I get old enough, I'm going to go out there and find out how wealthy people got wealthy. And I'm going to do exactly what it is they did. And I'm going to go out there and live a big freaking life, make a ton of money, and help a ton of people at the same time.
Yo, that's freaking
There's
funny,
there's a lot more there, obviously,
yeah.
I went to Bexley High School, 800 kids in my whole high school. I applied to Ohio State, they told me no. Indiana, they told me no. Oklahoma, they put me on a wait list. And they told me no. I eventually went to Arizona State. I did a trip my senior year with my dad, and I remember like being 17 and like going to like the gym, and they had an outdoor pool, and there were like all these girls studying outside by the pool. Yeah. A lot different than cold and rainy Ohio. So I went to ASU, and a lot of people don't know this. I actually got into real estate prior to direct sales because I saw $1 million listing on Bravo. One day my mom calls me and she's like, hey, turn on this real estate show. There's these 3 guys making money. They got nice cars. They remind me of you. So watch this show. I watched the show and I'm enamored with like $5 million homes in Beverly Hills and Mercedes Benzes. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to go be a real estate agent, right? So I didn't have a car. So I took a cab, discount cab, to the real estate school. It was called the Real Estate Learning Center, Mesa, Arizona, probably still there. I walk in at 18. The front desk lady says, just go ahead and finish school. You're 18. You're too young to do this. And I'm like, well, I looked up the legal age to be a real estate agent, and it's 18. So I'm going to do this. She's like, okay, whatever. So I went in there, did the 90 hours in person in real estate. And the story was I failed the real estate exam at least a dozen times. Like the summer of my freshman year, all my friends are like having the summer of their lives, partying, having fun, traveling, going back to their hometown, doing whatever they're doing. And I'm sleeping on an older friend of mine's couch. Arizona in the summer is like 130 degrees.
It's like the desert. Yeah.
Hot. Right? So I'm doing that. I'm broke, studying for this exam. Fail. Eventually got my license, got involved in real estate. And that was my first kind of like real introduction into like working with people, sales, marketing, and writing my own check. And I fell in love with the idea of, as an entrepreneur, I can make $1 billion or I can make zero, but I'd rather do that than you pay me, $47,000 a year. And I'm gonna have to listen to every single thing you tell me to do. And if I have an opinion that you don't agree with, you could just fire me the next day. So that was the moment where I really said entrepreneurship is my thing.
100%, man. I'm so excited, brother. You are such a great storyteller.
I appreciate it. I've done it, 13
you got
years.
reps, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so real estate, and then what happened from there?
So I'm 18 and I had this genius idea. It wasn't legal or illegal. It was kind of in the gray area where I was like, okay, if you have a listing in Scottsdale, Arizona for $1 million house, it's your listing. But I'm like, well, what if I market it for you? I act like it's mine. I bring a buyer to you. You sell the home. You get paid. I bring the buyer. I get paid. Let's do it. Let's do it like this. Nobody ever told me not to, so I did it. And it wasn't really legal, but I did it anyway. So I took a bunch of listings, remarketed them as my own. I actually made a brand in t-shirts called Alex Morton Realty.
Wow.
And it never existed, at all. But I'm 21, dude. I'm like, actually, I'm not 21.
Bro.
I'm 18, 19, 20, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So I printed out all these flyers. I literally remember taking a stack of like flyers, Alex Morton Realty. I had some girls wearing the t-shirts and stuff, and then like all these beautiful properties. And I remember throwing them down like the stairwells of the college dorms because after freshman year, all the kids are like, we got to go live somewhere, right?
Yeah.
80,000 students. So I eventually became the guy to help students find housing right off of campus. So I was closing deals. To me, a $300 commission check was a big deal. Again, I didn't have any money. I still didn't have a freaking car. So I'm like, riding high, making money. I got to do a referral on our house in Bexley that I grew up in. I called like the real estate agent over there and said, hey, my parents are selling our family's house. Do you want to sell it? And I remember the guy's like, well, yeah, that's what I do. I'm the top agent. I said, well, you have to give me like 15% commission. He was like, what are you talking? You're in Arizona. I'm in Ohio. Why should I pay you money? I said, dude, you want in or I'm going to call the next guy. So I wound up making a couple grand on my parents' house. So real estate was my first entry, man. And I still like real estate. Now I own property all over the world, which is a hell of a lot better than just being a real estate agent. But I did that like 19, 20, and then February of 2011, that's when everything changed.
Which is when you got introduced into the world of network
marketing, direct sales. A guy from San Diego said, hey, I talked to your father about this business. He's super busy, but he said he's got this young kid at ASU, me. And back then I was complaining about school all the time.
You were just a black sheep from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, I got freshman year in the dorms at ASU. I got so many write-ups like alcohol on campus, drunken conduct, just being a crazy 18-year-old kid, right? Yeah. It got to the point where I remember it was either Saturday or probably Sunday morning. I hear a bang on my door, and it's two Tempe police officers, not ASU police. Like this is Tempe police, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? And they basically said, you have 24 hours to vacate the premise or we're going to arrest you for trespassing. And I'm like, I'm a student here. This is my dorm. They're like, no, like you got to get the hell out of here. So I got removed from the dorms at 18. So my point is like, and growing up, I was never the smartest kid in the classroom. I made the honor roll a few times in high school. I went to ASU. Anybody can get into ASU. Like literally anybody can
Especially
get
if they like to party.
Into ASU, right? I go out there, I get in a shit ton of trouble. I get kicked out of the business school. I never forget Dr. Filer freshman year macroeconomics professor called me to the front of the class at the end of class, and he said, I got a D on one of our exams. And he looked at me and he said, are you really trying to still get into the business school? Because the business school there was actually top 25, called the WP Carey School of Business. And at the time I'm like, yeah, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be in the business school. And he literally looks at me and he goes, you will never make money in business because you don't even understand the fundamentals of the macroeconomics of the United States of America. And I remember thinking like, well, I'm going to go become a millionaire anyway. Like I always knew I was going to become a millionaire, right?
You just defy the odds. You're like, you started rejecting subconsciously. You're like, I'm not accepting anything that's coming from the outside world that's not in harmony with my goal of becoming a millionaire.
Yeah, of course. Because, and then I looked up people's like salaries, and this guy's making, 40, 50 grand a year as a college professor. Nothing's wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to make, my mind is on 40 to 50 grand a month back then. I'm like, I don't, if you're telling me something and you don't have what I want, why would I listen to you? And that's one of the principles I teach today.
Yeah.
So anyway, February 2011, this guy tries to recruit me into network marketing business. I see it first glance, too good to be true, scam. I was so ignorant. I called it one of those pyramid things, like me. I'm like, it's one of those pyramid things, like one of these knuckleheads on the internet. I said no 7 times.
Wow. That's the magic number, man. 7.
The 8th time, he's like, hey, I know you're not going to do it, but there's a guy coming into town tonight with me. He's 25 years old. He's making $10,000 per week in this business. And I remember thinking, I'm like, $10,000 per week? You said per week, right? And he's like, yeah, per week. And he never went to college. He's from San Diego. He's a lot like you. I said, give me the address, tell me the time. I'm there. So I had enough self-awareness and, just a brain to say, okay, if there's a 25-year-old making 10 grand a week in something and I'm 21 making a couple $100, a grand a month in real estate, right? So I went there that night and I went to a meeting in Scottsdale. I met the guy and that was it. I said, dude, I'm in.
From that moment on, no second guessing, no doubting. You're just like all in.
No, I said, yeah, I'll do it. Because he said, I'll teach you, I'll help you do it. And I said, okay, if you can do it, I can do it. And that's a message for everybody listening to this right now. If you see another human being doing anything, something, you should have the awareness to say, okay, if he can do it or she can do it, so can I. Because that's the God honest truth. So many people are held back, especially in today's world. They compare themselves to other people. But like, if I can compare myself to you, all I'm going to do is take your strengths against my weaknesses. So it's not even a fair fight. And they say, oh, well, I can't do what he's doing. Or I can't do what she's doing. But the truth is all bullshit, man. Like we all can do exactly the same thing as everybody else. And that's a big principle. I think people should not grow up idolizing other people. For me, it's like I got God and then everybody else, right? And if it's a human being, it's like if God would do it for you, God's going to do it for me too.
Amen. Amen to that. And so 21-year-old, you got into the business, and then 24, making your first million. What is that journey like to making your first M?
Yeah, well, I got in the business 21. I was terrible. I didn't want to follow the system. I didn't want to listen to my quote unquote mentors. I thought I could, I thought I was Mr. Big Shot because I was a real estate agent and I had Alex Morton Realty t-shirts and I'm like,
ego.
I can do it better than you. Yeah, big, massive ego, small bank account like a lot of people. That was me,
Yo, these sayings you got, bro, are so money, man. Every time I leave one of your like keynotes or speeches, brother, I'd be taking notes, bro, all the time, man.
Hey.
And I keep it real, man. Note takers are money makers.
Yep.
That's another thing that I learned from you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they are, you know, but that was me. Massive ego, tiny little bank account. So year one, I'm busting my ass in the business. I'm prospecting people every day. I'm trying to do events. I'm trying to give presentations. I'm trying to get people in the business. And I posted on Instagram a couple weeks ago, I think in over 12 months, my first year full-time in the business, I literally made, it was either $13,000 or $16,000. So I would have made more money historically, statistically, if I would have worked at Taco Bell. Like seriously, I would have made more money as a full-time employee at Taco Bell, Taco Hell, right?
Yeah.
Than building my network marketing business. Yeah. But guess what? Year two, I said, okay, Alex, you don't know what you're doing. So I remember I contacted the number one earner in the company. His name was Tom. He lived in San Diego. And I remember I drove out to his home in San Diego. And at the time, I think his career earnings were like $40 million in the business. And I'm like, listen, just whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it. And then he said, okay, do these things, get good at these skills, work on your mentality this way and that way, right? And year 2 was my first 6-figure year. And then in that process, I met my real deal mentor, who is Bob Proctor. I met him. I was earning $400 per month. And I met him in Charlotte, North Carolina. I went there to go speak in front of a room full of people in month 7, I think, of the business. Month 7, $400 a month. Like, oh my gosh, right? And I meet this gentleman named Bob Proctor. Didn't know who he was. Found out who he was. And he looked at me and he said, you can do great things in this business, and I'm going to help you do it. But you got to listen to me. And I said, okay. And then...
And he was a guest speaker at one of your conferences from that company.
So his wife, Linda, was in the first company. She was actually one of the top earners in the company.
Wow. Incredible.
So eventually it got to the point where he said, if you help my wife's young team, because all the young people looked up to me because I was like the success story, right? Eventually, he said, if you work with the team in Toronto, you can come to some of my events for free.
Oh, wow.
So I went to like the event that really changed my life was the Matrix event. It was 5 full days with Bob. People were paying at least $25,000 to be in the room. And I went up there, and that is where I learned about what happened to me. Like, how did I go from 0 to $1 million? Because I could not articulate how I went from 0 to $1 million. Because he asked me, he said, okay, because I became the youngest and fastest ever in that company to make $1 million. And he said, well, how'd you do it? And I couldn't articulate. I tried to like just figure out an answer. I said, well, I got really good parents, and I saw work ethic at a young age, and I had a lot of love in the house. And he said, do you think you're the only kid that had good parents in the company? I said, well, obviously no. He said, well, that's not it. And then I said, well, I worked really, really hard, because I did, right? From 21 to that, before my 25th birthday, earning $1 million, I worked my ass off. And he said, do you think you're the only person working super, super hard in the company? He said, of course not. So he said, you don't know how you did it. And if you don't know how you did it, you can never teach anybody else how to do it. So he said, come to Toronto. I'm going to show you exactly what happened. And the answer at the end of that week was, my paradigm was changed. This is how it changed. And that is why I was able to take a quantum leap and go from basically rock bottom to rock star in record time.
It's phenomenal. What would you say are the top skills needed to make your first million in the business?
Well, in that business, in a lot of businesses, it's all about,
sales,
volume,
right?
production. Like last week, I was in Vegas. Insurance company brought me in to speak. It's the same thing. I'm backstage with the owners. They're like, dude, whatever you do is what these guys do.
Yeah.
They recruit, they sell,
they prospect,
they
market,
they present, they promote. It's the same. Like, people get so like enamored, like, oh, like network marketing's. It's like, dude, what do you like Herbalife's a scam? It's like, dude, your life's a scam. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking?
Tell him, man. Tell him.
Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
He was in network marketing, insurance. You were in the deal.
He disrupted the system. Well, I wasn't part of PHP because he sold that company 2 years ago. So me coming into the world of insurance, I had no idea what it was. And so I used to think it was skeptical until I met Patrick and I learned about the company. I said he was a genius for what he did. So I was part of the consulting division, but since I was a top performer in the company, he flew me out to Vegas to go to the annual convention center to see him pass the baton down to his leaders. He sold that company for $250 million while maintaining 87% stake. And I was like, bro, this is sick. If I would have known about this when I was 21 years old, I would have dove and gone all in.
Right. It's the biggest equal opportunity playing field, I believe, in the world of business. Because, is there racism and discrimination in the corporate world, the VC world? Of course there is. People go, oh, there's no race. Dude, yeah, there's racism. There's discrimination. Like, oh, you're an immigrant. Oh, you're white. You're black. You're a woman. Like, it's all bullshit. And what we do, dude, you get involved, and you can make $1 a month. You can make $1 million a month. I've made both of those. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter where you're from, the color of your skin, the religion. It's all, here it's like, if you do the work, you get paid.
100%.
It's like, what else could describe America better than that?
100%.
So yeah,
capitalism,
100%. So the first 0 to $1 million was obviously a strong level of desire, because desire is the starting point of all achievement. We know that to be true. It's been proven time and time again, whether it's Tom Brady or Kevin Hart or Mayweather or McGregor or me and you have to have desire, right? Number 2 is you got to be teachable and coachable, meaning take away your ego. Like, we're in Miami. There's lots of kids running around here acting like they're, $10 million guys. And these dudes got 40 grand in the bank account. And I'm like, you don't want to learn. Like I go to a breakfast meeting or a lunch meeting or a dinner meeting with somebody and I know they got more than me financially. I have no problem taking a notebook out and taking notes. When I sit down with, our financial company CEO, he's might be close, it's definitely close to $1 billion now. It's hundreds of millions of dollars. Then I'm fucking taking notes. But a lot of people, I don't want to learn from him. And there's like this male thing where it's like guys don't want to learn from guys. It's like, dude, how dumb can you be?
Yeah.
So being teachable means I'm here to learn. Being coachable is I'll change. Lots of people will learn. They'll listen to the audios, they'll watch these podcasts, they'll go to these events, but not many of them are actually coachable in terms of, hey, I need to make changes, my habits, what I do on the weekends. My mentor was like, dude, you drink 5 nights a week and you say you want to be a multimillionaire. He said, make that make sense. So you fucking play PlayStation all day. He's like, you think like you don't have a trust fund of $20 million, Alex. You're not going to Harvard and Yale. If you want to compete in that, and now I think it's easier today, but it's also a little more difficult because now we're in America, right? I've been in 77 countries building this business. I've been all over the world. I go to I got events in Stockholm, Sweden, Copenhagen, Denmark, and Tokyo, Japan this month and next month.
Blessed.
Like it's international. Yeah. And I'll say there's kids in other countries that are willing to do 10 times the work for 20% of the amount of money. So now a young 22, 23-year-old, he not competing with Brian and David down the street. He's not competing with kids Bangladesh, Mumbai, the United Arab Emirates, like people, Argentina, like people that are like, dude, I'll freaking crawl, scratch my way. I'll do whatever the hell I need to do to go out there and win, right? So desire, teachable and coachable. And then it honestly comes down to discipline. Whether you're in life insurance, network marketing, real estate, are you able to do the things you should do, even if you don't feel like doing them?
100%. And this is one episode right here, guys, that you might need to rewind some parts and go back into because you don't want to miss the gold that Alex is sharing with us. So, Alex, that was for your first $1 million. Now, let's say that you were to lose everything that you had, God forbid. What industry would you get into? Who would you build with? Team. And what would you do? How would you do it?
It would have to be network marketing. I have to go back to that because here's the thing. I have friends that do well in a lot of different spaces, e-commerce, this and that. But like, I'll talk to them. They'll be like, yeah, we did 10 million last year. So how much did you make? I made 2 million. So for me, my mind doesn't understand that because like I'm not going to talk about my personal numbers here, but let's just say in a month, I get paid $1 million. Okay. In commissions. They're like, well, how much of that do you keep? It's like $1 million. I don't have employees. I don't have rent. I don't have space. I don't have a legal team. The beautiful thing about network marketing is you enroll in a company, the marketing team is there, the legal team is there, the compliance team is there. They'll ship the products for you. Or people will download them on the internet. All you got to do is build the distribution channels. Right? It's like instead of a company spending billions on TV commercials, magazine ads, Super Bowl commercials, F1 race going on, they smack stuff on the billboards. Network marketing companies take those same dollars and take, whatever it is, 60 or 70 cents on the dollar, and they pay it to people like me and you to go spread it word of mouth. So if I lost everything tomorrow, network marketing costs a couple $100 to get in. I mean, a damn real estate license costs more than that.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. And then product standpoint wise, I would say where's people's attention? Not today, 2 years from today. See, in 2016, I left physical products. In my first $3 million-ish in personal commissions came from energy drinks, vitamins, weight loss, coffee, skincare, because it was like a thing back then, right? And then Amazon showed up and it's like, you're not going to spend $100 on skincare from me when you can get on Amazon for $24. Yeah. It crushed us. So in 2016, I'm like, where's people's attention going? Crypto, e-commerce, digital entrepreneurship. That's where I went. people weren't really doing it back then. We were the first company ever to really capitalize on that. And now like everybody and their mother in our industry is trying to do trading and crypto and e-commerce and travel and all these different things. So I would get involved in a company where the products were geared towards what's happening now, but really 2, 3, 4 years.
That was so good, man.
Down the road.
Great.
Gary Vee taught me that, by the way. I'm going to give him some credit on this. When I met with him years ago, he said, if you want to get wealthy, you got to go where people's attention is going to be in 5 years.
Wow.
Wave the flag and then get everybody over there. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit, dude, you're right. So it's like now in this world, it's crazy because like AI and like one of my creative directors sent me a video the other day, or I guess it's an audio. It's my voice exactly saying things that I've never said before in my life, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I guess impressive, but also scary.
Yeah.
I'm thinking how in that, he goes, dude, it's so easy. He goes in a year, we're a year out where the deep fakes are going to be so good.
Yeah.
Someone can make a deep fake of the United States president and say we just sent 13 nuclear missiles to China, and then that video can get sent to the President Xi in China, and the president will not know if that's actually Biden or Trump or whatever, or a fake.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I called American Express the other day, and they were like, hey, would you like to have voice activation for security? I'm like, hell no, because anybody can just call my voice and then get access to bank accounts.
Yep, and people are robbing people. The thieves are copying your voice and then calling your mom.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, I'm in trouble. I need 10 grand. So now what they're suggesting is within your family unit to have a security word. So if your little sister calls me, oh my God, Alex, I need 10 grand. Please send it to this, I'm like, okay, Maddie, what's the security word?
Yeah.
And then you can like beat the system with that.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's getting nuts.
And question, so you'd get back into network marketing, you'd sell products that are now or as of in 3 years of what's going to be coming, anticipating the market demand. Who would you build with? Who are your killers? Who's your circle?
I mean, our team, I think, are the biggest leaders and the best leaders in the whole game.
And,
I mean, we got guys in our group that have made dozens of millions of dollars.
I found out about you through Jay Cush and Jonathan Lopez.
Yep.
I used to go to their VEMA events back in the day. And I honestly used to go and support them because I never believed in network marketing. Now I look back, I'm like, damn, I was pretty stupid.
Yeah, they're crushing it, man. They've made millions. Yeah. Really good. I was texting with them today. We're doing some investments, different stuff. Yeah. Great guys, man. Some of my closest friends.
Yeah, I agree. So would those be your go-to guys? In like, hey,
yeah,
man,
the people I work with every single day, I think they're some of the best in the whole game, for sure.
Got it.
Yep.
And then another question that I have for you. One of the topics that comes up a lot is that Bob Proctor was one of your biggest mentors, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What was the one thing that Bob told you that had the most impact?
Yeah, it's tough to pinpoint one thing. Some of his famous quotes still are with me today. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. That was a very big one. And then I'll never forget, we were talking one day on the phone, and he said something to me. I still think it's crazy to this day. And he said, do you know why I still study? I said, because you love it. This is what you do. You've been doing it for 65 years, something, right? And he said, no, do you know why I still study? I said, because we're always evolving into our highest form of ourselves. He said, yeah. He said, because I look out my office window and I see a pool. And I believe if I develop myself and my higher faculty strong enough, he said, Alex, I believe I could walk across the top of that water. And I still kind of like think about what he said to me. Whether I believe that or not, I'm still uncertain. But to me, it was the idea of we don't know what we're capable of doing. I don't think there's I think you could sit down with the most brilliant astrophysicists and the guys making the bombs and the missiles and sending people to space and all these different things. I don't think there's any man or woman on this planet that knows what you and me are capable of accomplishing.
100%.
So I think the limitless thinking was the biggest thing from Bob, outside of the whole changing your paradigm and how to help other people change their paradigm so they can go out there and win as well.
Right.
But
and I know you're a big fan of Bob Proctor, as you are of Tony Robbins.
Yeah, Tony's great.
If you had to pick one mentor for the rest of your life,
I got to go with Bob Proctor, man.
Yeah?
Come on.
Bobby P.
I mean, he's my we were We texted. We were texting. He was on his deathbed. We were texting.
Wow.
You know, like the event you went to, Break the Code, that was going to be Bob and I originally.
What?
It was going to be called, he named it. He said The Mentor and the Millionaire, something like that. It was actually going to be in Vegas. He was looking at venues, and then COVID happened, and then his health kind of just unfortunately declined. But that event really happened because of that. I said, well, Bob would want me to do the event, so I'm going to do the freaking event.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to do one in 2025.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. Break the Code, guys. You do not want to miss this event. I know there's a lot of personal development seminars and networking events, but when Alex Morton does something and the people that he's around and the information that he brings, it's invaluable. So I'm going to be there 100%, man.
I appreciate it.
I'm excited for it. Yeah. For me, it was you and Stormy Wellington. Every time she gets on, that girl's flowing in the spirit, man.
She's a beast.
She just shakes the room, and you have that same spirit. So
appreciate it. Yeah, we're good friends too. She's awesome. Amazing. Incredible.
And top 3 mentors lifetime that have had the most impact on you, Bobby P being one of them.
Bobby P, I would say my parents are in there. I learned a lot from my parents. I give a lot. I don't know. As I grow older and I look at different families and families dynamics, I know it's very important, especially as a guy. Like, I think it's very important for a son to have a great example of a father. And I look at some of my friends and acquaintances that maybe, you know, screwed up big. You know, like to me, like the biggest mess up I think a man can have is on family. It's like, what's worse? Like cheating on your best friend, your wife, or like losing a $5 million investment deal? Like, dude, it's not even comparable, in my opinion. Yeah. Right?
I would agree with you, man.
I got to say my mom and dad, you know, I saw my dad get up every day, work his ass off 6 to 7 days a week. And he never missed a football game. He was at a lot of football practices. My little sister became a really great tennis player. She got a tennis scholarship. She was a beast in tennis. Took her to all these tournaments and stuff. And then my mom, like, raised us, my sister and I, took us to school every day, made us lunch every day, and then also would go into their office. My mom had a desk in my dad's office in the insurance agency.
Wow.
So like I just saw such a great example of all of this. So to me, it's like just normal. And then I'll have conversations with other people, and I understand. They're like, well, yeah, my dad wasn't around, or you know, my dad messed around on my mom all these different years, and I have better understanding now. Where I'm like, yeah, I think it'd be more difficult to be, you know, a good man if you didn't grow up seeing that. I was watching a show last night late before I went to bed, one of Coach Prime's episodes on Amazon. It was one of his players talking about his dad's incarcerated, and it would just be tough. So I got to put my mom and my dad there as mentors for sure. I don't know. With me, I pull from everybody. Like I could sit here and say Kobe Bryant, and you know, I would say my high school football coaches impacted me a hell of a lot. I'll tell you what, man, when you're 15, 16 years old and you're in Ohio, and you know, I was this height in high school, a little bit heavier, and I played center. Like, so in American football, like I'm the guy that was snapping to the quarterback, right? And like I was one of the smaller people, and I started junior and senior year, and I would get the shit kicked out of me by guys. I remember a couple guys go Ohio State. Like, I don't know if you know too much about American college football, but like big dudes, like 295 pounder, 6'4", just animals. So like when you're in that like war zone at a young age, you learn a lot about life. But what I was saying is, like, we would go, it's 108 degrees outside in Ohio, with humidity like Florida. And we would do 3 practices a day in the summer for a stretch of like 2 weeks.
Discipline. Yeah.
So like you go through shit like that, man. It's like, dude, you like, I don't know which president said it. It might've been Theodore Roosevelt. He made a comment about, you know, you learn more in a football field than you'll ever learn in a classroom. I believe that.
Wow, that's deep.
Like sports, I think, and there's a lot of correlation, at least in my industry, a lot of these top guys and girls, they played sports. Yeah. And like when
competitive nature.
And when I get a chance to work with like an ex-athlete, they already have a lot of the stuff you need for business. Yeah. Like they're already used to waking up and lifting weights. They're already used to like having a nutrition plan. They're already used to working their ass off. You know, it's like if you apply that to business, dude, you can make way more money in business than playing, you know, football and basketball. It's like how many basketball players ever get to the NBA? Very, very short amount of people, like small percentage. But anybody, you could be 5'4". Damon John lives in my building, right? Fubu, Shark Tank guy.
Yeah.
I saw him the other day, and the dude's 5'4", worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Like like business it's a fair playing field, baby.
Yeah.
You can be who you are, and if you do things the right way and you work your ass off, you can accomplish whatever you want.
That's amazing, man. I want to say I admire you because in the Bible it says honor your father and mother, right? It's one of the things that God tells us to do, and you giving the honor, saying like, man, I owe it to them, seeing what they did for you. It goes to show how blessed you were to have the opportunities that you had, and of course you put in a lot of work and action into capitalizing that. So I admire that a lot, man.
Yeah. Family's important, man.
Yeah, that's freaking great.
It is.
And are you familiar with the history of network marketing, like the Earl Showoffs, the Rich Schnackenbergs, like the Jim Rohns, the Mark Hughes?
Yeah, Jim Rohn, Mark Hughes. I've studied lots of Mark Hughes videos.
I'm fascinated by the industry.
Earl Shove. I know that name.
He would mentor Jim Rohn. And like Zig Ziglar, even Les Brown at one point was in direct sales and network marketing.
Donald Trump was in ACN. They all were a part of network marketing. That's why it like blows my mind so much is when there's such a bad rap on it. I'm like, do you people still not understand?
Jim Rohn was worth like $300 million.
Yeah, and he was Herbalife's like top.
He was the vice president.
Consultant, vice president, right? Amway owns the Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
Herbalife is, David Beckham, when he played for LA Galaxy, fucking said Herbalife across his chest.
Yeah.
These are some of the biggest companies on the planet. Mary Kay Cosmetics, billions.
And the reason why I bring that up is because I look at the name of some of these legends, right, that were in this space and have been pioneering all the millionaire trainings. It's like you guys have codes and blueprints and principles, kind of like Napoleon Hill, that's passed them down through generations. It's the one book that's made the most millionaires in the history of human mankind think and grow rich.
Yep.
It's just timeless principles and wisdom that if you apply them, you will get the results. And when I think about these legends in the network marketing space, like the people we just mentioned, it's like you are the modern.
One of them.
One of them now.
Yeah.
Right? And so now you've done $30 million.
Well,
before the age of 30.
We've done $2 billion.
I'm talking like personal income, commission.
Yeah,
right?
way more than 30. I made 30
by 30.
By
though.
30, yeah.
By 30.
Yeah.
And $2 billion in sales. Now, what's that mentality like? Of okay, you're already 7-figure earner. What is that mentality active? Hey, I'm really at the top of this game. What's that mindset, that attitude? Like, what differentiates you now from the other 7-figure earners that makes you extraordinarily successful?
Yeah, I think a lot of people hit 20, 30, 40, 50, 80,000 a month and they just stop.
They get comfortable.
They stop traveling and stuff. When my like meteoric rise started to take place, 80, 100, 200, 500 million, 1 point, all the, very, very big numbers. I got really good at not letting that number every Friday affect my hustle and grind. So I've always just had this like work ethic about me. I think I thoroughly enjoy what I do. I don't need to get on all these Zoom calls to all these different countries. I don't need to fly to Sweden in 2 weeks and go do events in Copenhagen and go to Tokyo. I do it because I love it. Yeah. I feel, and this is my quote, I don't know who said it, but I'm going to steal it. Success is about you. Fulfillment is about others. So for me, it's like, yeah, I'm good. And my wife and I own real estate. Everything's paid for. Cars paid for. Like, we can do whatever the hell we want, sure. But how many people can I really help? Right? It's like I am in the process of, spreading my message globally. And I look at some of my mentors, the Ed Milettes, the Patrick Bet-Davids, the Cardones, and I'm like, these guys got 20, 30 years on me. So it's like, what can I do in the next 20 years? Right? Like Grant at my age was barely alive, beating drug addiction. Right? So it's like, and then you look at Ed Milett, he made all his money in an insurance network marketing company. Yeah. WFG. So it's like, I just want to help people. Because I get so furious and pissed off. I posted something today on my Instagram. My post today was about like talking about the global agenda and all these different things. And a lot of it's coming to light now because people are there's a massive awakening going on in America, also the entire world. Yeah. Like people are now realizing finally, it's like taking you people long enough. Yeah. It's like, wow, the government doesn't like me. They don't care about me. I'm just a form of business for them. Wait, the Federal Reserve isn't owned by the government? Oh, it's like big pharma this and big pharma. It's like, dude, yes. It's an evil situation out there, man. The last thing they want is this.
Yeah.
The last thing they want is us telling people, yo, you can go make 100 grand a year, 200 grand a year, 500 grand a year by working for yourself and helping other people. You know, it's like, and we're in a really weird place right now, especially in this country. I don't want to get too deep onto that stuff, but like I was talking to somebody about some stuff the other day, man, and it's scary, man, what's going on.
Yeah.
And this is America.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's pure insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, we've sold multiple pieces of property in this country just in case it gets to that point where it's like we have something in Miami and then we can go to a private airport and get the hell out of here because it's getting to that degree.
Yeah.
But on the positive side, lots of people, especially in like a city like Miami, lots of people are understanding. They're waking up now, especially after the whole COVID debacle and all this stuff coming out now. The people are like, okay, you know what? Yeah, people got to stick together.
Yeah.
Like this government nuts psychos, they can't just, treat us like, bugs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of positive happening too right now, for sure.
100%. And we can go deeper in another episode where we can just freaking talk about that because I'm fascinated because you've been posting a lot about that on Instagram. And I know that you're connected to a lot of higher people and you have information that definitely many of us don't really get access to. But man, I think I've only done this for actually one guest, but I actually wrote down a list of questions just in case I didn't want to forget some things that I wanted to ask you. What would you say is the biggest failure that you had and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, I would say ego helped my short-lived demise back in my first company. I tell people a lot of the success was because of me. And then like the fall was also because of me, probably, a little bit amount because I was just so intense and I was so aggressive and I thought everybody wanted to be a millionaire. And I was really like hitting people in the gut when I would talk about, school and this and that and the other. So I think learning to have a healthy ego and not an ego problem. And I learned, man, like I made almost $2 million. And then a year later, I'm down to $90,000 in my savings account. I'm spending more money a month than I'm bringing in on rent, on car. I was living with, the wrong girl at the time. 28 pounds overweight. So I learned the hard way. I really believe God's like, listen, if you're not going to be grateful and if you're not going to do it right, I'll just take it from you.
Yeah.
And then in that time, I remember praying, crying myself to sleep at night, several nights, thinking like, man, God, if you give me one more chance, I'll do it the right way. I won't even post my income because you know how people in our industry, everyone's like, what's the word? Like bumping their chest or like clout chasing. I made $2 million last month, $3 million last month. I got 15 Bugattis. I told God, I said, dude, just give me one more opportunity and I'll be an example of how to do it.
Amen. And
not just be a, whatever that word is. Right.
Yeah.
And, he gave me another chance, man, in 2016. And, I would like to think I've done it the right way with principles and integrity and trust and honesty. I don't think you're ever going to meet somebody that says Alex wronged me or stole. I know they won't say he stole from me. I've just always tried to leave every conversation and every relationship, better than I found it. Because I think if you do business the wrong way, and I've done investments where I've lost a ton of money, like a shit ton of money. Like one of them was like $1 million.
Yeah.
And I'm like, on the other end of that, I'm thinking like, if you're really willing to steal people's money and like flee the country, like how could you possibly think that karma's not going to return home?
Oh man.
Like I'm a big believer in karma. And people say, oh, well, no one's going to see it. Bro, God's watching, God's watching your ass, man. And then if you think, oh, well, I don't know about the whole God thing. I'm like, dude, I can't even have the conversation. You saying there's no God proves there's a God.
Yeah.
One of my roommates in college was it was like one of my best friends growing up in college, Josh. He was Christianity, he had a cross on his tattoo, a cross on his back. I was raised Jewish, and then we had like a Catholic, and then we had an atheist. So like the conversations we had were like would be crazy, and I would always say like, dude, how can there not be a God? Like, do you see what like you open your eyes? Like a guy and a girl get together, and 9 months later, a freaking human pops out of a woman. Like what, if that's not like, what are we, come on, right?
100%.
So again, karma's a big thing. People listening to this right now, don't be a bad person, man, because it will catch up.
Yeah.
And you know what? It may not even be it may not be tomorrow. It may not be next week, next month. Who knows? It could be next life.
Yeah.
Like if you're a POS in this life, you know what? Maybe next life your ass is born in a refugee camp in the Congo.
Yeah.
Or you're born in somewhere else where you don't want to be. You know what I mean? So I think being a good person and the law of reciprocation and just my dad always told me like whatever you give, you're gonna get back 10x.
Amen to that, man.
So
you had a great father, great example. You're blessed that way.
Yeah.
And now you're being a blessing to millions of people across the globe. What kind of like causes are you passionate about now that you've built the wealth and influence? Like what do you really want to support or move? Like what's like that more spiritual purpose aside from impacting people and helping people? Is there something that really sticks out to you?
Yeah, my wife and I are pretty strongly emotionally connected to the human trafficking.
That I saw that in my head. I'm like, you look like you're,
and not just because of the movie everybody watched. Like this has been going on.
Right.
Like Trump. I actually listened to Trump's podcast yesterday. Came out with Logan Paul, and he said it's literally the biggest business on the planet, and hardly anybody talks about it.
Logan Paul said that live on the podcast.
No, Trump said that live on the podcast because it's true.
Right.
And then you sit there and it's like, be a critical thinker. Don't be like a political psychopath.
Right.
Okay. Why is human trafficking not talked about if it's the largest business on the planet? I wonder. Well, maybe because the people in power are involved in it, right? So it's like, to me, I would love to be supporting groups and maybe start our own group where we can go rescue people. Tony Robbins has done some efforts to that, but overall, man, there's so much evil in this world. I would just like to be a force for good. God willing, represent like family. I've been married almost 4 years now in August. It's like because they're trying to dismantle everything that we once stood for. Like listen to the music. It's like, why do you think these guys and girls act like? I used to act like that too. It's like, why do you think these girls act like this? It's in the lyrics of the songs they're listening to. Their
subconscious is open.
They're getting programmed over and over and over and over and over and over and over again to be a quote unquote hoe or whore or go find rich guys. And then guys are being programmed to do different things. It's like there's so much evil at the top. Disney, Nickelodeon, like it's all there. Today on my post, I need some proof. It's like, open your eyes. Do a little bit of research, man.
Man.
Like, you don't have to look far. So I would like to be a part of good people trying to do good in a world where a lot of evil is present.
I love that, man, and I respect that a lot. And how about your wife? 4 years married, you're already successful. You can have any girl that you want. How did you know that was the one?
A feeling. For sure.
Yeah.
We met in London in a nightclub at 2 a.m. and we both were not going to go out that night. So no social media, no Instagram, literally nothing. There was nothing there. Like there was no anything. It was literally like a real raw 1960s encounter.
Oh, bro, that's
we met,
the best.
And
right
she relatively blew me off, but we exchanged numbers and it took some time and then we met up again. And it just, she came to Miami when I was renting at Porsche. And she was successful on her own. She's a freaking killer in different businesses that she does. And COVID happened, and she couldn't go home really. So it kind of like sped everything up. And then 7 months later, I'm proposing, and then we get married, and here we are almost 4 years in August later.
And so, congratulations, man. That's a beautiful story. I'm a big lover. When I hear these things, I'm like, man, I cannot wait for that moment to come. Because to me, like finding your soulmate.
And I was against all this. That's the craziest thing. I was, and she was too, kind of like, she was like, whatever, traveling the world, having fun. I was like, I would joke about how I didn't want to ever settle down or marriage is stupid or, I was like that, but I think it's true. Like when you really meet like the one that makes everything else just look like, I don't want to say garbage, but like garbage. Like I couldn't just, couldn't let it go.
I
know?
I resonate. Yeah. And so would you consider that love at first sight? or was
Yeah,
that
that night,
For
I told her, I said, you're
Yeah.
my future wife. Like, that's
Yeah.
a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, I have witnesses there.
Yeah.
Like, I have friends that were with me, and they said, they're like, you literally said that, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. But it takes work like anything else.
Right.
But, you know, my dad always said, marry somebody smarter than you. And I think that's a really big life hack to do. The fact that she's a business lawyer and she made her first $1 million before I did at a younger age, you know? And it's not just about the money, but like you want to be with somebody that can help you.
Right. Elevate you as a man, right?
Like a lot of guys, you know, they're with girls and stuff, and it's like, bro, one day, like, she's gonna be 38. Like, she's not gonna look like that. Like, and she is like, they're like, what are you gonna talk about?
Yeah.
What is she bringing to the table? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like think a little bit deeper here. Like, this woman's gonna help raise your children.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and the divorce rate is so high. It's because I think people are marrying for just insanely wrong reasons. You know, you need a good partnership. I support her dreams. She supports my dreams. Everything is based on trust. That's the most important thing for sure. But, you know, marrying someone smarter than you, man, is like, because then you have another set of eyeballs on potential. Like, every time I see investments now, she looks at everything. And she'll catch things that I can't. And this is something
They're more intuitive, man.
I was going to say, that's proven now. Women are more intuitive. So before I do a business deal or I'm, you know, iffy about somebody, dude, one lunch, one coffee, 10-minute encounter with her, she's called it. That's the craziest thing. I used to be like, yeah, bullshit. I could go back on people. I'm not going to say their names. 5 years ago, where she was like, don't trust him. And I'd be like, oh, what are you talking about? Nicest guy. We're buddies, this, that. We're in business together. Don't trust him. She always says you can see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
And then 3-4 years later, craziest thing happens. Like theft, you know, doing this, talking shit. I mean, it's like, dude, it's like 100% of the time. So I didn't know if there was even a question there, but
No, I love
it's
the
very
fun that you
important that who you choose to do life with, man. Because this is what I've also learned. Not just because like earning tens of millions of dollars and blah, 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 but
it's the fact that you've earned tens of millions of dollars that you got people's attention now. They're like, okay, I got to listen to this guy. And what I like is that you're actually preaching the truth. You're wakening people up.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is that you get to a point in life, especially when you start to have like my first car was a 1998 Ford Expedition. Now I drive a $500,000 Rolls Royce downstairs. You know what I mean? Like, when you get to a certain point, it's very hard to gauge like who actually cares about you versus like, what can I get from this guy? Right. And I don't even know today's landscape. I talked to some of my friends that might still not be married and stuff, or they live in bigger cities like in Miami or in LA. And like the stories I hear that they encounter is unbelievable. Like, I had a buddy in Dubai tell me, he goes, bro, you can't go out in Dubai and talk to a female without at the end of the night her literally saying to you, yeah, I'm down to go home with you, but it's $1,500.
That's crazy.
So it's like, knowing that to be true, which it is, and it's only getting freaking worse. Yeah. Right? My point is, like, you get to a point where you could probably keep like real people you can count on, where it's like, if you were in dire need, like shit hit the fan for your life, you need $10,000 by tomorrow at 2 p.m. There's only a handful of people, man, that are going to send you that money. Maybe that even could send you that money, right? So it's like, when push comes to shove, that's why your wife, as like your best friend, your rock, like that person needs to be just strong, dude.
Yeah. Because
life hits everybody. And it's like, just because you have tons and tons of money doesn't mean you don't have challenges, issues, problems, frustrations. Sometimes you have bigger challenges,
right,
bigger frustrations.
Yeah.
So that's a very important piece of the puzzle, I believe. And I've also gathered that from Grant talking about Elena to me. Ed Milet talking about his wife to me, Rob Dyrdek. You know, you need a strong partner.
100%.
Or shit's going to be tough, dude. Like, you see a lot of these, you know, shit that people, you know, it's tough, man. It's tough.
100%. One of the things that comes to my mind is in the Bible, it says you can't worship both money and God, because you either master one or the other one will master you.
Wow, yeah.
And so now we live in a society that's so driven by dollar signs. And we're seeing that everywhere, which is why people will sell their soul literally to do radical things. Like try and get into a Met Gala over there in Hollywood without having some kind of like satanic look or some kind of sign that you just look at it. And it's evil, man. It's evil. It's like becoming so prevalent and evident that I'm glad people are waking up, but it's like, it's right in front of our face what they're doing. And it's like people are walking zombies, man. They're not even.
Yeah, and people call it art. Like Doja Cat's videos where she's like naked with blood all over her body with like devils in bed with her, and people are like, oh, it's artistic expression. I mean, let me tell you something, dude. I have friends that are in these industries. I have friends that are big sports agents. I have a friend in Europe that provides certain things to A-list celebrities. Not going to say the name of the people. And he said, dude, if you knew what these people requested, you wouldn't sleep. Like, it's not artistic expression. Like I'm not saying there's some red man with horns on his fucking head, right. But I am saying the law of polarity states there's an equal to your, like the opposite, right? Yeah. Like good, evil, up, down, north, and south. So if there is this all perfection, all knowing, all love God, there's some over here too, man. Yeah. So it's like, where are your thoughts? Where are your feelings? Where are your actions? Like, this isn't a joke. Yeah. In Western cultures, like, that's why I've never been more open to leave in my entire existence. I love America. I love capitalism. I think it's the best of the best of the best. But I've had this conversation with family members. Dude, we get 4 more years of what's going on. Good luck. Let me know. Yeah. Like, let me know how it's going in 2 years. Yeah. We just let 20 million people through the southern border. Yeah. Military-aged men that are trained for military combat. And you're over here hitting a bong in your Miami Brickell condo with 5 roommates, and you're all broke as shit. Yeah. And you don't like at some point, do you wake up or you just say whatever happens? It's like, bro, it's getting serious. Yeah. And this isn't conspiracy.
No, this is with truth, man. This is what people need.
I don't want to get in trouble. I got group chats on my phone of people worth $50 million plus net worths talking about how many passports do you have? How much cash do you have in the banks? Where's your gold? Do you have guns? Can you get out of the country? Like, this isn't like a joke. Yeah. I don't talk about this. Is like really deep today. I'm feeling a little froggy, I guess, or whatever. But bro, bring it, man. I keep a lot of this stuff more to my chest because, I don't want to cause situations, and you gotta be careful, man. Yeah. Look at Andrew Tate. They put him in a Romanian jail, and he's telling people to go train and work out and work hard and take care of yourself. It's like, okay. So like the people at the top, man, there's a lot of power up there. Yeah. And what we can do is prepare ourselves, mentally, physically, financially for the possibilities. Or don't prepare and just think everything's going to be okay when our president can't even speak English. He falls downstairs. It's like
a fucking joke, bro. It's crazy, dog. Like, it's crazy.
It is. And I'm not even I'm going to say this because people are going to watch this and then DM me crazy stuff. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I think it's all BS. I think it's all freaking big scheme and scam. But there is one man that I believe wants to help this country, and we know who that man is. Yes, and sir. I think that's who needs to be in the freaking White House.
Trump 2024, baby.
No comment, but yeah.
So, man, I totally agree with you, and that's what the world needs, man. More leaders to step up for the good, right? Because in a society where good people do nothing, evil always prevails. And I learned that from my mentor, Les Brown. And so that's why I wanted to have you on the show, man. It's not about the financial literacy and all of these great skills that you can impart into people. It's like you're somebody who's been there, done that, and walked there and had a lot of success. And now you're actually doing your part of waking up and talking about the things that are most important in our lives, man. Fuck the money, because the money's not even real. We can't even go.
Dude, if you weigh $100 bill and a dollar bill on a scale, it's the same weight.
Yeah. Wait, repeat that. You said $100 bill.
I'm pretty sure if you take $100 bill and a dollar bill and you put them on a scale, if they're both paper, it's the same. Yeah. And it's printed in a printing press.
And you blew my mind when you told me that the beliefs that we pick up growing up, it's like money doesn't grow on trees. And you were like, what is money? Paper. Where does paper grow? Bro, you were snapping at it was Daniel G's event at the conference. I was just like, bro.
Well, it's true, man.
Where you been all my life?
We've been manipulated for far too long, and I hope it's not too late. I still have lots of belief, lots of faith in God. I want to believe good will win in the end.
100%.
So I guess we're gonna have to see.
Yes, sir, man. And we got to make a lot of money now to protect our families, preserve wealth, and be the change that we want to see in the world, man. So anything that you want to share before we kind of end this episode here?
No, I appreciate you having me on. If you guys are not watching my YouTube, get on there. Alex Morton Show. Just started it a couple months ago. And let's rock and roll, man. Make sure you're tapped into my Instagram, Alex Morton Mindset. Make sure you're following this guy, Legacy in Billions. I love the name. And go out there and be a good person. Work hard. Stay disciplined. Care about people because they're people, not just because they make you money. And build a relationship with God. You know, I'm not speaking on any specific religion, but I think it's important to. I don't know. I pray every day, and it makes me feel good, and I feel like I'm more connected to the source. So.
I'll tell you something, man. I'm around a lot of wealthy people. I've met different, people from different industries and everything, but nothing impresses me more than where the heart is postured. I'll tell you something. I met this gentleman by the name of Nick Perdomo, fourth largest cigar company in the world, worth a couple $100 million. And I was invited to his event at the Paramount World Trade Center by somebody who saw a podcast of mine. They were so impacted that they're like, hey, man, I would love to have you here. We're smoking Nick Perdomo cigars. I wasn't a big cigar guy back then. I was just getting into it. And I was just like, man, I'm just going to go network, build some relationships. Nick Perdomo's this guy, fourth largest cigar company in the world, stand-up guy. He's not an easy guy to approach, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of went up to him. We started talking. We spent 20 minutes talking. Energetic conversations, going back and forth, mutual exchange of value, talking about passions, interests, business, faith, everything. And I was like, wow, we could not stop talking. And I said, what in the world can somebody like me bring to somebody like you who has everything that money can buy? And he said, man, it's a great thing. It's for me, my family tells me, my wife tells me it's just to have more time with the kids and to the family and be able to spend quality of time with them. I was like, man, that's freaking beautiful. I love that. I was like, well, then I got a $1 billion question for you. And he was like, wait, what do you mean? What's a $1 billion question? I was like, you got Jesus Christ? He's like, of course. And I'm like, bro, come on. We dabbed it up. And I'm like, man, you got to get on the podcast Legacy in Billions. He's like, take my number right now. It would be an honor and a privilege to get on your podcast.
Nice.
And so for me, it's where is the heart postured, right? What are the values? What are the principles? And what's the good you're bringing into the world? And so when I thought about bringing you on this podcast, I'm like, man, you are somebody who's had so much financial success, and you could be on any boat, yacht, jet, doing whatever the F you wanted to do, man. But you are spiritually connecting to God. You're raising awareness. You're bringing people into the light. And I truly believe that God is going to use you so mightily for this generation, man. You are very, very anointed, special, skilled, gifted, and you're very special, man. So thank you so much for coming on here. And, man, I'm so excited we got the opportunity to connect and bring this episode to the people, man. Okay. And I'm looking forward to what God has in store for us next.
I love it. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. See you on the next one.